Hey, what's up? This is Seth Green, and you are listening to Somewhere in Vegas with Mark, and I am so hot, I would desperately like a glass of water. Please, please, give me some water.
This is Cindy Preston, and I'm with Mark on Somewhere in Vegas.
Hi, this is Melissa Peterman from CMT's The Singing Bee and the television show Reba. And I have to tell you, I just have to get it off my chest, I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi there. This is Faith Roscoe from General Hospital. You're listening to Mark on Somewhere in Vegas. And you better watch out. We know how to find you if you're not listening.
Hi, this is Shannon Egan from Whippet, and I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hey, this is Lee Allen Baker with Somewhere in Vegas, talking with Mark with a Q.
This is Courtney Cronin. You're listening to Somewhere in Vegas with your host, Mark, and I would make sure to listen every week because he's a sure bet.
Hey, this is the Money Man, Eddie Money. I got 2 tickets to Paradise, and it's, you know what? It's Somewhere in Vegas. And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Hi, this is Crystal Gale, and I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi, this is Terry Nunn from Berlin, and you're listening to Mark Somewhere in Vegas.
Hi, this is Miracle Laurie from Joss Whedon's Dollhouse. There are 3 flowers in a vase, and I'm listening to Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi, this is Erin Hill, and you are listening to Mark on Blog Talk Radio and Somewhere in Vegas. Mark is a great guy.
Hi, this is Sean Pulaski. I'm still trying to figure out Mark Pico's sexuality, but I know you're listening to Somewhere Live in Vegas.
Here you go, Mark. I'm sorry. I thought you were she. I'm sorry. Get out of the tent. Let's get out of here.
Hey, this is Lance and Anna from Free Radio. And Anna?
And you're listening to Somewhere in Vegas.
Yes.
My favorite.
You know, that's usually what happens with me. I go to Vegas and I get lost, and so I end up somewhere in Vegas.
Somewhere in Vegas.
But I just don't know where it is.
Not quite sure.
Yeah, word.
Get ready. It's going to be hot. It's in Vegas. Check out Mark. Be there or be square.
My guest at this time is a award-winning and best-selling author. He has several books, including Don't Live the Good Life, Crossing the Bedside, and his current book is Going Global, The Life of a Traveling Nurse, right now available. All these are available right now on Amazon.com. Ankit Shukla is on with us right now. How you doing, Ankit?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, it's your story is a very interesting one. In fact, you are a native Nevadan. You're originally from Sparks, actually, right?
I am. Yeah. I was born in India, but we moved there when I was a year old. Yeah, and then I went to
you went to the university.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm a graduate of a Sparks High Railroaders.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, University of Nevada, Reno, which is great as well. What got you into nursing? What was your kind of motivation to get into nursing?
Well, I knew I wanted to get into medicine, and nursing just seemed like a good route to go through because it seemed like there was more patient care versus dealing with a lot of bureaucracy and all sorts of other stuff that, a lot of advanced practitioners would have to deal with. So then there were a lot of specialties you could go into, and you could work anywhere in the country with that profession, which was very attractive. Yeah.
And what were you kind of, you said you mentioned specialties and all that as well. I mean, was there any certain specialty that you were personally liked?
Back then, I liked anything cardiac related or neuro. Currently I've been a dialysis nurse, which was something I was interested in, but I didn't know how much I would like. But once I got into it, I really enjoyed it. And, I've been doing it for 12 years now. Working in dialysis, I mean.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of important. It seems like you really had a thing for kind of blood, because we talk about the heart and we also talk about dialysis, which is blood related as well. So that's very interesting, to say the least. can we talk a little bit about, the travel? I mean, you said that you travel, from location to location. A lot of nurses like to, maybe stay at a hospital, within a relative distance of where they live. Why the motivation to travel and go to different parts of the country?
Oh yeah, it's just a lot of fun. You get to explore all areas of the country, which each area is a little bit different. I love that, you can go to a new place, live there for several months, and kind of experience the culture of that area, the culture of the hospital or clinic. And I don't know, it's just been a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of great people. You get to, obviously you get to travel, which is the main perk. And hey, it's just a lot of fun, and I enjoy variety. I enjoy being in different places all the time. I'm not really a fan of just staying in one place all the time.
And obviously, different places, different kinds of hospitals, different kind of work environments as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, like, for example, you go from Atlanta, Georgia to California to New York to Texas, Hawaii, wherever, and you just experience a lot of different cultures within that realm. I mean, we're truly a country of 50 states, and each state is very different in their culture and just how people think, how people live. And it's kind of nice to see that, I don't know, it's kind of nice to see that, hey, people kind of live different lifestyles, but they're still happy in their own way, which was always interesting to see. And each place you go to, they have a variety of different food that's unique to that area, culture that's unique to that area, and so on and so forth. And also just a lot of historical sites or attractions that you can see whenever you go someplace. I mean, so that always makes it a lot of fun.
Well, conversely, I mean, talk a little bit about, a hospital in New York might operate a little bit differently than one in California or one in Hawaii as well. I mean, just having that experience under your belt to be able to work at different places like that. I mean, tell me a little bit about that, about working at different hospitals and learning a little bit from each location that you've worked at.
Sure. Yeah. When you work at different hospitals, and sometimes this can even be the case when you're within the same region. I mean, you kind of find different dynamics in different hospitals. But yeah, as I travel from there, maybe to Colorado, to New York, to California, or Texas, wherever, you kind of learn. You learn that the culture is different, and also the way, and that definitely translates into how people work. When they're at the hospital. And it's not really good or bad. It's not better one way or the other, I would say, but you learn different work ethics, working styles, you also learn different techniques that certain parts of the country may be doing, over another. But yeah, it's pretty amazing to see just, different work cultures, across the country. And you'll definitely notice, major differences in a hospital or clinic in New York City versus one somewhere in California or Texas. Yeah.
Now, obviously that dynamic's very important in terms of, in the middle of a crisis like we are right now, where, I could say that the hospitals are somewhat overwhelmed in terms of patients as well. I mean, how do you feel it's kind of going right now in terms of how hospitals are kind of handling this crisis? And what's your experience, getting prepped for something like this?
Right now, my experience, and I've been in Southern California the whole time since the pandemic hit. I haven't gotten a chance. I haven't worked in New York or Chicago or any of the other hot spots. At first, back in March when it was hit, it was very difficult because, we were not prepared. I mean, the hospital I worked at, one of them was probably ahead of the game more so than others. And what I mean is, they had a little bit of. They were very proactive in isolating patients to one unit who had COVID, and they're using blue lights to clean the machines, clean equipment, clean rooms. So they were kind of advanced in that respect, but we were still reusing. We kind of had to, use our same PPE throughout the day, including the masks and gowns even, which was kind of like, okay, this kind of goes against all infection control things that we've learned or that we were indoctrinated with over the past several years and decades. A lot of it's still the same. I mean, but definitely the hospitals now are, at least in Southern California, are well stocked with PPEs. I mean, we're still having to use our N95 masks all day. But I'd say they're more prepared, better stocked, better prepared now than when we were first hit in March or February and March.
And, obviously, looking forward, I mean, things are going to be changing a little bit in terms of how a hospital operates. Obviously, we're kind of, getting to that point where we're starting to, I wouldn't say fine tune things, but, it's a situation where, things are ever evolving, but yet we're getting to that point where, there's going to be new procedures out there. There's going to be, new policies out there in terms of how, hospitals deal with patients, how doctors and nurses themselves kind of deal with patients. Tell me a little bit about that. How about having to adapt going forward in terms of healthcare?
Sure. I'm not exactly sure what hospitals are planning as far as how to deal with the pandemic if ever one comes up again. I mean, there's always so much preparation you can do. I just would say, always making sure that they're fully staffed, and not just having their regular staff, but having backup staff in the form of PRN, which is per diem staff, available in case, there are times where they really need staff and are, inundated with patients. And I'm sure they're always going to be stocked up on PPE for several weeks ahead of time, in case there's a pandemic and we run into another shortage. At least we have a few weeks supply to get through until we can, get more supplies later on. I imagine there'll be a lot more proactive in that regard. I hope so, at least. It seems like they are. I know this. Of course, we can always look back and say, coulda, woulda, shoulda. And I admit it sucked as a healthcare worker having to deal with all this and, always being told about all of these infection control rules. And then all of a sudden them not pertaining anymore. And it's like, okay, what's the deal here? What's the deal here? So there was kind of a lot of emotion going on in that regard, but I think hospitals will be more proactive in making sure that they are stocked for several weeks out, and the administration will make sure that we're staffed and always staffed ahead of time, especially if there's something looming in the future, like, the flu season every year and things like that. Flu and pneumonia season, I should say. I'm hoping that the hospitals will be more proactive in making sure that we're staffed and always have backup staff in the form of PRN and per diem staff.
Yeah, practice is practice, but then when something like this happens, then you do learn from from what you're doing. I mean, you can't ever predict something like this happening, or as much as you can prepare, sometimes it goes a little sideways, as it were. So it's never one thing that we can ever predict exactly how things are going to happen, but at least we're sometimes proactive about that, and we can learn from our mistakes. So hopefully that'll be the case coming into the future as well. Are you there?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit. I mean, obviously with all of your experiences, what got you into doing some of this writing?
Yeah, I always wanted to be a writer as a kid. As a kid, I wrote poetry and short stories, things like that. And then